The fact that you're here, this to me is a vindication of a life lived well and good in the true Christian tradition that we all know and live by and respect. As Huey himself would often say when he spoke of painting and artwork, Huey would say, a painting is more than the sum of its parts. And I think this is true also of a human life. Of all of us, we all are more than the sum of our parts. And as his bereaved wife here with us today, Mabel, will attest, Huey was a devoted and loving husband. Huey was a simple man. That is to say, he was a man of simple tastes.
Mabel, you're leaving me to do this all by myself. Well, who's gonna cut my hair now?
Huey began to paint canvases, and he painted many, many canvases. And some of these canvases are still on view all over our community today. In the school gym area, I believe there is a large canvas that Huey did. And I would hope that these works will serve as a reminder for all time, for all of us, to keep the name and the memory of Hugh Lederer in our minds and in our hearts. Thank you all.
I'm cold and I'm hungry.
How can that be?
Well, I am.
Lord, what a junk collector Huey was. Paintings, half-finished canvases, books, boxes of things. It's none of it anything I ever want to see again. Of course, Huey might turn up someday asking about his things the way they sometimes do. Knowing Huey, it'd be the carbon copy of something from back in 1946 he'd want.
I don't think that's one bit funny, Mabel.
Was it meant to be?
Well, you don't seem to much care about what you're looking at.
I'm trying, Huey. I'm trying.
Trying don't get the job done.
Gracious, how her mama would thrash in her grave if she knew this house wasn't being passed on to family.
I bought your mama's little maple desk, Mabel, but anytime you want it, it's waiting for you.
Yes, and thank you. No, I don't want it.
The piano will find a happy home with us.
We are sorry we didn't make it to Huey's funeral, but I want you to know we are grieving with you.
Where are you going, now that you've sold the house?
To visit my niece in New York. She's been asking me to come for years.
Oh, that's nice. Do keep in touch.
That dining room break front's always been wasted on Mabel.
Well, I only kept it all these years because I was afraid Mama would come around asking for it.
Mabel! That's hurtful beyond anything, anything.
Nothing lasts forever, Huey.
Oh, yeah? Rembrandt, Da Vinci, Toulouse-Lautrec. You're gonna hear about this from me, Mabel.
Not where I'm going.
Mabel? Mabel, why are you always brooding, staring out into space, never doing anything?
I'm watching the peacocks walking on the grass, Mama.
You ought to be out playing with the other children. Haven't you got any friends? Doesn't anybody like you?
But I'm watching the peacocks.
What are peacocks doing out on our lawn ruining the grass? Jesus wept. You keep telling lies like that, you'll grow hair out of the bottom of your feet, Mabel.
Well, so much for that.
Where to, lady?
The railroad station. When's the next train?
Going where?
Just the next train.
Well, the next westbound is due at 11:15, and there's an eastbound at 12:35. Which way are you going?
Give me a ticket on the
11:15.
How far? On the train. What's your destination?
Oh! All the way.
Whatever you say, lady. End of the line.
Ever since I can remember, I've been seeing things and hearing things no one else could see or hear. It disappeared completely when I married Huey. I guess it had to. But now I have this feeling it's all coming back. Well, I can't complain. I've got plenty of money. All I need now is a name and to decide exactly which way I intend to go or which way I'm intended to go. Most of all, I'm starved for strangers. I like people, but I've never needed close companions. Huey was my only mistake.
Ticket, please. Thank you. Have a pleasant trip.
Morning, Doctor. How are you today?
I'm well, Charles. Yourself?
Fine, thank you.
Good, good.
Have a pleasant trip.
Thank you.
Do they have a good chemistry department at the college?
Yes, yes. One of the best. One of the best in the country. Yeah. Excuse me. Isn't that someone's driver's license?
Yes, mine.
I would like a cup of coffee and 2 donuts.
I'll have the same. I always believe in eating when I can.
The donuts here are very good. I have some every time I come into town.
Are you visiting?
I'm visiting my sister.
Just arrived. I'm going to be here for a while, but I don't know for how long. Do you have family here?
No, no one.
My sister might like to rent a room to a nice lady. She has this little crippled kid. Where does your sister live? She was married to the same man for 27 years. And all he left her was this big house and this little kid. He's crippled. Me, I don't like a man like that.
They don't leave you with much, and that's a fact.
After having been married for 27 years to the same man, I don't think she should have to take in roomers.
But if one of her roomers should happen to be me, it might all have been worthwhile.
She lives on Smith Street. You couldn't miss it. It's the big house. She's got this sign. It says, rooms.
At least he left her a big house.
Up and downstairs all day long, taking care of a big house. She's not getting any younger, you know.
Well, we're none of us.
Does this bus go to Smith Street?
Oh, boy.
What bus?
The one you're waiting for. This is a bus stop, isn't it?
What'd you say?
Smith Street.
You live there?
Yes, I got this little crippled kid. Big house.
No. You get that bus across the street, goes across the streets, going the other way. How long did you say you lived there?
27 years with the same man.
Is he any better at catching buses than you are?
He's a motorman. I try to avoid his route.
Women.
Always checking out.
Does this bus go to Smith Street?
Lady, I promise you, this bus goes to Smith Street every trip. That's why it says so on the front.
Are you sure?
Yes, lady. I'm almost positive.
So this is my first direction, Smith Street, where I'm going to be living for a while. Motorman. I might never see this motorman again. But on the other hand, I might ride home with him every day. He might get to calling me by whatever name I finally pick out, and I might take to asking him about his wife's asthma. And every day I might ask him if this bus goes to Smith Street. And he might say, "Yes, lady, it surely does." Huey wouldn't think that's funny. In case he ever does come back asking, I'll be sure not to tell him. Someday, very soon, I'll be in there, and I might say, "Well, if you haven't got this blouse in size 44, I'll just run across the street and try there."
Mabel, Mabel,
What?
Find Rosalind Bleecker. Tell her Sid says hello.
What?
Find Rosalind Bleecker. Tell her Sid says hello. Sid says hello.
Listen, Martin, listen. I'm supposed to tell you Sid says to say hello. What? Sid says to say hello.
Smith Street. Smith Street. Smith Street, lady.
How's your wife's asthma?
Better, thank you. Watch your step.
Well, here I am. Here I am. I wonder which room will be mine. And whether I'll look down from the window and see myself standing here looking up and waiting. By the time I look out the window, I'll have to have a name. Laura.
Laura.
Bertha was Grandma's name. But who wants to be named Bertha? Muriel? No, that sounds like someone who gets raped and robbed in an alley. I once had a cat named Edward, and I changed his name to Stargazer, and then to Robin, and then I tried to change his name back to Edward again, and he got sick and died. You have to be careful with names. One too many and you lose. Jean, Helen, Margaret, Gertrude, Goneril, Angela. Angela. I'm a friend of your sister. I was just making some tea. Come on back in the kitchen. How's my sister? Doing well. Of course, she has her troubles like the rest of us. I just buried my husband. I just buried mine. Isn't it a relief? What? It was a sad occasion. You're right. It was a relief. I'm Mrs. Fawn. I'm Mrs. Motorman, Mrs. Angela Motorman. I'm not saying I want a room, and I'm not saying I don't, but if I did, what would you have to show me? I'm not saying I have a room, and I'm not saying I don't. But if you wanted to look, I could show you a pretty little place. My niece had the meningitis. Let me pour you some more tea.
She had this meningitis. Got right to her heart. Everybody knew it would, of course. But nobody told her. She had it for years. Before she found out it got to her heart. My cousin had mercury poisoning. That goes directly to the heart, of course. He only lasted about 3 days. I had a cousin like that. You mentioned how quickly they go. Only this went to the brain. The reddest face I ever saw in my life. She died without knowing any one of us. My aunt was the same, only she died of pneumonia, and that's a very quick one. It catches you without any warning. You swell up, and there you go. Bloated. Like my nephew. Only with him, it was alcohol. Oh. Then there was this friend of mine. She had cirrhosis of the scalp. They don't have a cure yet for any of those things, you know. They run right through you. I hate to think of the way my friend went on suffering right until the very end. My uncle fell under a truck. I'm sorry about your uncle. Do you want the room or don't you? I do. This is my son, Tom. Tom, this is Mrs. Motorman. Good afternoon, Tom.
Hello. Any cookies left?
I got my share. Of course, I got plenty of room to put it all. Someday, if you want me to, I am going to make you my special chocolate cake. It's got 5 layers.
Okay. Motorman's a funny name.
I made it up. Are you just home from school?
Yeah. I like school, but they're always surprised I'm not smarter because I don't play baseball and stuff.
Maybe if you practice.
One kid pushes me down the street in the morning, and another kid pushes me back home in the afternoon. They do all the pushing, and I ride both ways. But I'm not as smart as they think I ought to be.
You're smart enough for your own good. I'm going to check out your room.
I'm pretty smart. I'm not stupid, of course.
I'm pretty smart, but I never got pushed back and forth to school.
You know any Spanish?
No.
I want to learn Spanish and French and Italian and Russian and then Latin and Greek and be a scholar. So far, I only know a little Spanish, but I'm lazy.
Maybe I'll push you to the movies someday.
I like that. Maybe a movie in Spanish or French will improve my accent. What do you study, Miss Motorman?
I was married to a painter.
Was he any good?
Was lousy.
Is he dead?
Yeah.
How long do you think I ought to go out to study Spanish before I start French? They're both good languages.
Look, I'm not used to talking to kids.
Oh, that's all right.
I mean, I don't see why I can't just sit around and read books or something.
Your room's ready.
Hey, Mrs. Motorman and I are going to the movie someday.
I think you're going to like your room. And what do you do, Mrs. Motorman?
I dabble in the supernatural, traffic with spirits, seances, messages, psychiatric advice, that sort of thing.
Well, I never had one of those before. I'm not saying I haven't had all kinds. You rent rooms. It's surprising sometimes what you get.
I never lived in a room before.
You won't find it very difficult. All you have to do is remember to pay regularly. I'm willing to provide a few meals, but that would be extra.
Perhaps I could give a hand with the cooking. I'm a fine cook.
I'm not so sure about what that wouldn't be extra, too. All right, now. Here are the rules. You may not cook in your room.
I promise.
You may not smoke in your bed.
I promise.
You may not make loud noise at night.
I promise.
These are all safety precautions. Thou shalt not. You may not keep dirty pets.
I promise.
You may not spread contagious diseases. However,
The room I plan to show you has a private bath. Linen's provided. We do the heavy cleaning. Anything you raise by way of spirits, you have to put back yourself. Hey?
I'm going to like this room. It's perfectly square.
Mabel, what are you doing?
Talking to Ginger.
Cats don't talk, silly.
Ginger does. Grandma's picking up the phone to call you now.
What?
Grandma's calling you now.
Well, the phone isn't ringing.
Hello? Yes, Mother. I just happened to be by the phone.
What?
She did what? My Lord on high. Whatever for? I'll talk to you later, Mother. I've got to go. Rosalind Bleecker hanged herself.
What?
Rosalind Bleecker hanged herself.
It's all right, Angela. It's all right. You made it. You came in, and it's all right. You got here after all. Oh, Mrs. Motorman, did you get settled in all right?
Yes, I'm very comfortable in the room.
That's good. Come and meet some of the other guests. This is Mrs. Flanner. She keeps a bookstore. Mrs. Flanner, this is Mrs. Motorman. Angela.
No, Ruth.
Her name is Angela.
You play pinochle? No, I'm sorry.
Just as well. She plays the dirtiest game of pinochle I ever saw. This is Mr. Brand. He is a bookkeeper. Mr. Brand, this is Mrs. Motorman.
I'm very glad to know you.
It's reciprocal.
What do you do?
A little shoplifting sometimes, some meddling.
Mrs. Motorman will be down the hall from you.
Well, I hope my cello won't bother you.
If it's a friendly cello, I'm sure we'll get along just fine.
His snoring is much worse than his cello.
Mr. Campbell's home.
Oh, you can set your clock by Mr. Campbell. That is, if you're the kind of person who needs to always know the exact time. And this is our Mr. Cabot. He's in merchandising. Mr. Cabot, this is Mrs. Motorman.
It's a pleasure, I'm sure.
Charles. They've been going together for 4 years. Mr. Cabot thinks that marriage is confining. You can see what she thinks.
Good morning.
Good morning. Would you like some tea?
Don't mind if I do. You give up being a scholar already?
This is my day to be lazy.
Oh. How about some cookies?
Great.
Not you. You haven't even eaten your breakfast yet.
Oh, Mom.
Don't mind if I do. The sugar will rot your brain.
Oh, what about yours?
Mine's already running. Hey!
Tom, why don't you go out and play in the park?
Why?
Because I'm asking you to.
Oh, all right. But when I get back, I want some cookies.
When you get back, we'll talk about cookies.
Toodaloo!
Sometimes I serve a dinner on Saturday nights for an extra charge.
That sounds nice.
Does that mean I can count on you for tomorrow night?
Okay. I thought I'd explore the city today. Does the Smith Street bus go the other way? What name does it have on it?
Smith Street.
Oh. Miss? Young lady? Young lady?
Can I help you?
Well, if you don't have this blouse in size 44, I'll just run across the street and try there.
Can I help you?
No. Just trying my hand at shoplifting. Hello?
Oh, did you get downtown all right?
Yes, I had a rather exciting afternoon, actually. I thought I might hold a kind of a seance.
What would that include?
Well, I sit in the middle and everyone sits around. We might have a little sherry, and then I give messages.
Who provides the sherry?
Everyone has some question they'd like to get answered. Some questions can only be answered from beyond.
Beyond what?
You don't have to believe if you don't want to.
Thank you. I could give you some cooking sherry.
May I use the small parlor?
Well, that would mean I'd have to be there, unless I choose to sit in the kitchen all evening.
I'd be honored if you'd come.
Who else is going to be there?
Well, I thought I maybe could post a sign in Mrs. Flana's bookstore if she's willing. I think a lot of people would be interested. Of course, anyone from the house is welcome.
Not Tom. I don't allow him seances.
Has the question come up before?
He'll stay in his room reading. I don't want him listening in.
One of the reasons I want to use this room is that chair.
That was my husband's favorite chair. He sat there night after night.
Did he ever get any manifestations sitting there?
Nothing he ever thought worth mentioning. It's a good chair. I just don't happen to like it myself. But I'd sell it for money. Are you sure you're not tampering with something better left alone? Are you sure you know what you're doing? Are you sure you're not stirring up trouble that's going to hang around my house?
It's just like a long-distance call. Once you hang up, it's over.
Well, I never heard of a long-distance call in my life that didn't cause trouble for somebody.
Ah, Mrs. Motorman, how nice to see you. How are you this evening?
Just fine, thank you. And you?
I was hoping for this chance to talk. Why don't we step into your room for a moment?
Well, I was just going down to dinner.
So are you, Charles.
Good evening.
Good evening. Would you like some wine?
Ah, I thought you'd never ask.
All right, everybody. We're just about ready. You may be seated. Mrs. Motorman. Did you wash your hands?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all right.
Mrs. Motorman, how are you enjoying our little town?
Well, from what I've seen so far, I think I'm going to like it fine.
Oh, how interesting. And what brings you to our city?
Curiosity.
Well, here we are.
Chicken again.
Are we ready? Good evening, Mr. Campbell.
Mrs. Fawn was saying you're going to have a seance here.
Seance? What's a seance?
Yes, that's right. You're all invited, of course.
Never mind what a seance is. You're not going anyway.
When is it to be?
Next Saturday evening. Mrs. Flanner, I was hoping you might be kind enough to let me put a small notice up in your bookstore to let people know.
I suppose so.
Mrs. Flanner, would you help me clear the table, please?
I'll help.
No, you are a new guest. I'll get you next time.
Well, I think I'll go and practice my cello.
It's so difficult to talk.
What did you want to talk about?
Well, perhaps we could go to the park. It's probably better if we speak in private.
Charles.
Yes, Ruth.
Oh, Mrs. Motorman, I have the bill for you for the week.
Wine, tea, and cookies? But I thought you invited me.
It won't hurt you. I get what I can.
I'm watching. I'm watching.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Flanner. How are you doing this afternoon?
How does it look like I'm doing? I'm watching. I'm watching. They stole 1,000 paperbacks last year. They don't seem to think of them as books. Books they don't dare to steal because of the covers. Also, they know I'm watching. I'm watching. The city is hell on books.
Do you sell a lot of books?
It's the college. They come here for an education. Hardly anybody speaks English anymore. I'm watching. I'm watching. What do you want?
You said I could put this up in your window, or maybe on that bulletin board by the doors. Would you mind?
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you.
I'm watching.
Oh, how nice to see you, Mrs. Motorman.
I was in the neighborhood.
Oh, my manager. Now, let me show you some of our early season specials on full-length muskrats. Here, let's just try this one on. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the first one I grabbed off the rack.
What was it you wanted to say to me in private?
Oh, nothing. Nothing at all. Except, oh, here, let's just try this one on.
Except what?
Well, I thought a lovely lady like you with such good taste would certainly enjoy owning a beautiful coat.
A coat? You wanted to talk to me about a coat?
Why, yes. Why, the first time I laid eyes on you, I said, why, Charlie, there's a fine, womanly figure. There's a lady that can appreciate the look of elegance for the coming winter season.
Well, it's nice, but it's not exactly what I had in mind, dear.
Well, we have a huge selection. I'm sure we can find something that'll suit you.
Perhaps another time, Charlie. I really thought you were interested in... Bye now.
Oh, some people have already come. I put them in the living room.
That's fine, thank you.
Think I have enough chairs there?
I think so. I'll have to close the drapes. People expect this.
Oh. Well, I'll go get the glasses and the sherry, and you can pay for it out of the pot.
It's really a hobby of mine mostly, but if it does people some good, why keep it to myself?
If more people kept more things to themselves, this world would be a better place.
A tall man. A tall man wanting something. He has gray hair. He is not very old, but he has gray hair.
My father!
My brother!
Excuse me, my father.
He says to take up the book that I had near the end, that I held in my hands near the end, that I was holding in my hands. Take it up and turn to page. It has an 8 and a 5.
Dad?
I beg your pardon. My brother, I know the very book.
Find the page. And there is a message. A letter. A message.
Ask him where he hid the diamond studs. Tell him it's his sister asking.
Excuse me?
He does not know the word studs. He is here, and that is all. He's going now.
It must be my father. If only we could give a chance to speak.
Someone is here. Someone is here. Someone is asking for Alice? Anna? Angela? Alice?
My wife, her name is Agnes.
She's ill, is she not? Someone is asking if she's better? If her illness is abated, someone is asking you to tell her the old medicine is best. Someone is asking you to tell her that she is being cared for. Someone is over her now. Someone is comforting her.
Of course someone's taking care of her. I've been taking care of her ever since I can remember. What old medicine? I've got a chest full of old medicines.
Tell her someone is taking care of her. She will be better.
Will you bring my brother back again? I've got to find those studs before his wife does.
There are many, many here. Some wanting to speak, others moving away. One who wants to speak is asking about a daughter, but it is not a father asking about a daughter. Is there a daughter here?
My mother? Why would my mother want to speak to me? What for?
Are you well? Are you contented? Someone is asking if you are well.
Then it isn't my mother. She never cared whether I was wet or dry.
Someone is here. Gone now. Some are pressing close to me. Some are farther away. Here is someone with a message. Don't forget old Ginger. Here's someone asking a message for a wife.
Well, I don't want it. Tell him to go on back. I don't want to hear anything he has to say.
Someone is here. Someone is asking about a little child. Was the little child lost? Is the little child never coming home again? Where is the little child?
Oh, bring back my father. We don't want to hear about a little child.
Now, here is a message. Here is a message for T.B.
Me? The first initial's really J, but they always called me Teddy. I guess it's for me.
Good fortune is in store for you, T.B. Great good fortune is being warned against. Do not be deceived.
I do not believe in all this nonsense.
Deceived about what? Is it the real estate deal?
Now here's another mother asking about her. Asking about her. The
How are they
break
trying
front.
to deceive me? Should I back out of the deal?
She wants to know
You
what's
said it was
happened
such
to
a
the
good
break front. What about...
Mabel, a seance. You come from such a decent family. Our people were all refined and educated. How could you do this?
Every 2 minutes or 5.
Who is this asking about his house? Here is someone asking about his house. Is his house still... Is his work still there in the house? Is his house still... Is his work still there? Is it there in the house? What did you do, Paint? What did you do with the painting?
He didn't try my
I told you I'd get back to you. Burn them all, did you? I'll never forgive you, Mabel, never.
Can't think what got into that cat.
Well, the messages were getting a little crazy anyway. All they talk about are things, possessions. And they are cheap.
What did you expect?
They could take a little bit more interest.
I think another 50 cents will cover the cost of the sherry. Thank you. If they were interested in real life, they wouldn't come listen to you. You'll find out. They are all crazy. All they want is to be told what to do. So they wait around for some crackpot to come along and give them the word.
And by crackpot, you mean...
I mean what I mean. If the shoe fits, Mrs. Motorman.
Just trying my hand at a little shoplifting. Well, I'm not boasting. Some of the things that come to me work out well and some don't. The seance wasn't bad. But I'll be the first to admit I'm not light-fingered. Barber. Mrs. Angela Barber.
When's the next train?